Hi everyone, today we're talking about electronic medical records or EMR in the doctor's world. So even in this digital age, till now, until very recently and probably for a long time in the future as well, prescriptions will be written hand by hand, and it's the way that we have learned, it's the way that we have been taught. But as a doctor, writing it down and clicking pictures, sending to patients was becoming a little tedious, especially when the patient load had increased. So that hassle can be minimized and has been minimized previously by many other countries by using an electronic medical record. Now it's a thing that's well accepted in India as well, and recently Phable actually revamped their EMR to incorporate some of the vital features and to make lives easier for doctors, because already we are dealing with a lot of stuff. There are things that we don't want to miss. As you know, prescriptions are a very important document to avoid any legal issues and to have a very clear-cut understanding of what was treated and how it was treated. So I myself have been using their EMR for a couple of months now, and I felt that it's definitely helping me transition out of the writing to the typing in terms of still maintaining a sanity for doctor. I'm able to understand and follow the same pattern that I used to while I used to write on paper, but at the same time adapting and saving time and not missing vital information. So let's get into it. So how do you think it is EMR is different from a patient-based record? So basically what differentiates it from a plain piece of paper is the fact that you do have designations. We have left a lot of blank space so it looks like a clean piece of paper, but we have given headings where it says, this is where history is supposed to go, for example. This is where vitals are supposed to go. So like I mentioned, if there's a staff that's recording your patient's vitals before they come in to meet the doctor, that is recorded separately but is still seen in the totality of the picture. So the doctor can notice these vitals, but he may not necessarily have to write it. Similarly, a lot of white spaces are maintained, so it still looks like a white piece of paper, but with headings it becomes a lot more clearer, and it helps the intuition of the doctor to not miss any information. Vital information is not missed. Things which need to be mentioned are mentioned, because certain topics, certain headings kind of give them a cue. Alright, I need to write chief complaints, I need to write history, what advice I would like to give. So those are little cues for the doctor, so they are adding the right amount of value and details to their prescription. So what do you think are some problems that this will help in solving? Okay, this is going to be an extremely helpful tool when it comes to doctors and hospitals alike, because we are seeing such a huge inflow of patients now. People are far more aware about their health. They are starting to revisit doctors again, and those doctors who are working in a remote area as well. This helps them by not being overly overwhelmed by the kind of patients they're seeing. It gives them cues to help them understand and not miss out important details. So in terms of documentation, this is an effective way to document something. We have seen previously that there are, in hurries, we will write prescriptions which are not very well detailed, which is not acceptable, detailed, because this is such an important document, a record of what conversation happened between you and the patient. Some of the details are to be maintained and preserved, and this EMR actually helps you maintain that. Like I said, by giving those visual cues, headings, by prompting and making certain areas, they've made it as a mandatory field. So you know that something needs to be written here, otherwise your EMR is incomplete. So in that ways, it will help the doctors in making proper documentation of their work, not missing out any vital details of the patient, and therefore avoiding legalities. So why do you think that the Phable's EMR, the upgraded EMR, is very relevant? So the upgraded EMR actually, they've been working on it, and it's evolved in the last 2 to 3 months. And what I really like about it was the fact that it still resembles like how doctors are usually used to writing on a piece of paper. So the flow is maintained really well, but it is still adapted to a telemedicine platform, right? So we have sections on the EMR, which basically dictate the doctor and help the doctor in writing the vital pieces of information that's important. But also there are strategically placed other text or bubbles like vitals, other information which may or may not be required or may be filled by a doctor or a staff outside. So this way, the way that a doctor is used to writing is still maintained. It still feels like that blank piece of paper that doctors are very accustomed to write on, but it's just adapted to be on a digital platform, so you type instead of writing it down. But overall, I feel that the normal flow, how it is for doctors, we write chief complaints, then history, then probable diagnosis, investigations, then medicine and advice. So that flow is maintained, giving us a little more comfort in writing it, and I think that's one of the easiest ways to transition out and move to an EMR or an electronic medical record.